Have you ever wondered what it takes to work in podcasting? Today, I'm here with Hernan Sias, the host of Business Bros podcast. And in Hernan's words, I teach young people about personal finances, business, and marketing in person and through the podcast. I am a business owner myself and continue to take what I've learned in the private sector and teach it to students in the public school setting. So, welcome to the show, Hernan. Tell us a little bit more about podcasting and being a host.
Absolutely, Loxy. Thank you for having me. Let's start off with the bragging stuff. Tomorrow, actually, I think it's next week. I'm recording the two episodes 1421 and 1422. I've been at this for quite some time. I've had the opportunity to interview over 1,200 different entrepreneurs, and honestly, podcasting has been the cheat code to learning so many different things aside from the doing aspect of being in business. Learning from people who are just getting started, people who are in the middle of the business, and people who've had major exits, all just with 20-30 minute conversations. And it's just opened up so many windows. I'm excited to share with your audience what it's like to be a podcast host.
That's one of the things I am loving about this too. I did not realize how much fun it would be to have all of these different conversations because I'm talking to all these different experts about a variety of different careers. And for me, it's networking. It's getting to hear what they do, like listen to what they love, hear the passion behind it. And that is the most fun for me. So tell me, what is the coolest skill you learned that you never thought would matter, but it absolutely does?
Yeah, I think that's going to be asking questions. Part of that is also public speaking, but mostly on the asking questions part. You'd be surprised how often you're in a situation where you need to converse with people and you have that awkward silence. Nobody knows what to do. Nobody knows what to say. It's a little weird. And then socially you get a little awkward and then it kind of disappears. You never build a relationship with those people, right? But being able to talk to different people in this entrepreneurial space, and also talking to people that are at the end of the entrepreneurial space, or even people that are in their elderly years. When you talk to most people who are successful, they really focus their attention on the relationships they built. That's really what they give credit to their success. And being able to establish those relationships, build those relationships by asking questions, by being interested in that person and learning more about that person. Because at the end of the day, like, people love to talk, they love to tell their story. And if you're there with the ability to dig deeper and ask questions, listen to their story, you get to connect with that person on a way that, and a level that other people never will. If you're listening to someone on a podcast, that's one thing. If you are reading their book, it's another. If you get to interact with them, whole different ball game. And your ability to ask questions is going to help take that surface level relationship and really build it into something much more beyond the podcast, right? On the podcast, it's definitely important because you don't want dead air, obviously. But in real life, take that same skill. All of a sudden, you're building relationships and really deep relationships with all kinds of different people. Some of them are definitely going to help you on the business side. Some are just going to make your life that much better because they're in your life.
And that's one of the reasons why I asked you to be on my podcast, because I've been on your podcast. It's been the reverse. And I loved being on your podcast. You are one of the most fun hosts because I've done a ton of radio and TV and pod. You're my favorite of
Thank you.
everyone I've ever been on an interview with. You just make it so easy. I mean, it's like, and we've never met in person, even though we both lived in the same town. And it's like I know you. Like, I text you when I have questions about anything and you instantly talk. So we've got that rapport between each other, even though we've never met in person. So I was just like,
Yeah.
I started this. I'm like, I've got to have Hernan on. He can help just tell the story so easily
It
because you're
makes you,
just so easy to talk to.
yeah, it makes the world so much smaller, right? Like, the world is a big place. And when I was growing up, if I wanted to meet with somebody, I mean, a phone call might work, but to see them in person, that's hop in the car, hop in a plane, hop in a train, go somewhere, spend that time, stay in a hotel. Who knows if those relationships even pan out because of the extent of what you have to do just to meet. Today, we get that face to face interaction. When I started the podcast, it was pre-COVID, so it was about 2018, and everything was in person. So they would come over, they would sit down, we'd shake hands, we'd have that conversation, and that was really cool. That was different. That got me out of my shell a little bit. But in today's world, I get to meet people from all over everywhere, Australia, different time zones, places I've never even visited, businesses I've never even thought of. And how? Because we have the ability to just be online on the camera. It makes a huge difference. There's so many cool people out there, and this gives us an easy way to talk to them.
Imagine you're at a networking event in person and you're handing out business cards and getting business cards, and this one person looks at you and says, "Tell me 3 things about yourself so that when I pick up this business card, that's gonna be what I remember about you." So, what 3 words would you use to describe yourself?
Number one is going to be consistency. That's the biggest word for me. When we started the podcast, my thought was all I got to do is get to 1,000 episodes and I'll be as famous as Joe Rogan. Like that was the thought, right? So the consistency was a huge factor because we did a show 5 days a week for 3 years and made sure that we did it every single day. So consistency is the first one. Right. And then the second one is I'm going to go with resilience. I want to say never give up, but really it's just resilience because there's going to be so many times where you make mistakes. I mean, you do it in life all the time, but when you start doing this podcasting thing, you don't like the way you sound. You don't like the way you look. You forgot to push the audio button on. There's so many different things that happen that you could easily quit at any given time, but don't. Like the resilience is what's going to get you there. And then the last thing that I'm going to put up here is just confidence. Because like I told you, you don't like the way you look on camera. You don't like the way you sound. But for some reason, when I'm speaking into this camera, even though there's nobody in front of me right now, you're speaking to a podcast world. There's could be 50 people listening, 10 people listening, 1,000 people listening. You just never know. And so as I started to do more and more podcasting, I got better at public speaking. I got more confident at asking questions. I got more confident at the way I sound and the way I look. I was able to hop on stages. I have no problem picking up a microphone in front of people. The confidence level's through the roof. So for me, it's consistency, resilience, and confidence.
What is a skill you use every week that you didn't realize it was a skill until later?
That one I'm gonna go with that. That's my consistency factor. I didn't know it was a skill. I thought people just if you wanted something, you worked at it and you did it until you got better at it. I just thought that's what people naturally do. It's not until I started, that's the pod phase, right? So pod fade is usually people start a podcast, they go maybe 7 to 14 episodes and then it disappears. That's the majority of most podcasts. Once I started getting past that consistency factor, people started to notice. And I don't think my show was like all that great, especially early on when you don't really know what you're doing. But people began to notice simply because you're constantly showing up. And that to me started to build the image. When you're in kindergarten and your teacher tells you you can be anything you want to be, anything you put your mind to, you can become. I wholeheartedly believe that's the way it is today. If you're consistent, you can create an image of whatever you want yourself to be simply by creating content on a regular basis. You do that consistently, you're going to put content out there that defines you because you're putting it out there. You control the narrative. And all of a sudden, just like your kindergarten teacher says, you've become whatever it is that you set out to become. Consistency is that superpower. And it is something that you develop. Discipline is just doing that thing you don't want to do when you don't want to do it, but doing it at a high level, and you do it until it becomes a habit. And then it's just who you are.
90% of the job is just showing up.
100% of the time.
What helped you more, learning how to talk, listen, or recover after messing up?
Ooh, I think learning how to recover after messing up. To be fair, I think all three are very important. Learning to listen, I think I still work on that because, like most people, especially if you're doing like an interview setting, you ask a question, you're listening to them, but you're not really hearing them, right? I should say, you're hearing them, but you're not really listening. You're thinking, what am I going to ask next? Is he talking too much? Maybe I should interrupt here. Oh, I got something cool I want to say. Like all these different things that are going on in your mind. So, learning to listen was definitely something that I benefited from. But see, I have a really light skinned face, and if I mess up, I turn like bloodshot red. So being able to mess up and not completely make it obvious that I've made a mistake in front of hundreds of people while I'm on stage or on, behind the microphone here, behind the camera. I think that has made me feel a lot more confident about what I do, about what I say. And when I'm saying it so that I don't have to worry about messing up, it's not gonna, knock me down and I won't be able to get back up. I've made those mistakes. I've worked through them. I've felt the heat of embarrassment from time to time, but I'm able to work through that a little bit better now simply because you show up every day and do it.
And that segues into my next question, which Now we're going to bring Addie into the picture because Addie learns by trying and failing and then trying again. And in book 2, it's all about time management, which, all of us need help with that. And she's trying to learn how to manage time and organize the whole family's calendars because mom's heading off to the International Space Station, dad's in the FBI, and he's all over the place. And she's trying to learn how to organize everybody. So, what is a failure for you that's quietly trained you for success?
Not writing things down. I think that has been one of the biggest things where, you think you'll remember. I mean, something as simple as like a grocery list, right? You're going through the house, you're doing something, you're like, oh, I need to put that on the list, but you don't do it right then and there. Then you go shopping and you obviously you're going to forget it because you didn't put it on the list, right? The same thing happens with almost every activity that you do every single day. At the beginning of every week, I create a checklist for myself. These are the things that I need to accomplish this week for me to feel successful, for me to have, feel productive in that way. So I spend a good, 20, 30 minutes on a Sunday night or early on a Monday morning to map out what I'm going to accomplish that week. And there's times where maybe I add to that list and other times where maybe I cross off something on the list and like, oh, I don't need to do that anymore. But for the most part, it keeps me on track because anytime you have an open gap in your calendar, that time's going to get filled with something. So if you're not intentional in what you're putting into your calendar, into your time, then those things are not going to get done. Prioritize what you want to do first and then do everything else that you love to do. I'm reminded of my son, for example. He's pretty much a straight A student now, but very early on in elementary, he had this little hiccup. Right. And we went to a parent teacher conference and they're like, well, he hasn't turned in a couple assignments. And it was like out of character for him. We looked at him and I had one conversation with him. And the only thing I really told him was like, look, dude, I know you want to play video games. I know you want to do that stuff. And I don't want to stop you from doing it. So if you do what you have to do, you can do what you want to do. And, for a little 7, 8-year-old kid at the time, he's pretty wise because he took it to heart. And ever since then, that's his like motto. He works his butt off doing what he has to do. And then I don't have to tell him anything. He might be up at 3 a.m. playing video games and mom might not be happy with it, but the dude's got straight A's. He's super responsible. I can't knock him. He did everything he was supposed to do so he can enjoy the time that you have on your own. And that's what I feel like if you take that with you as far as time management, block off, set your checklist. What is it that you need to accomplish this week? And you don't even have to drop it into your calendar for time slots. You can. And I highly suggest the more complex your life gets, the more you block out times. But if you start with something as simple as a checklist and move through your checklist every single day, you'll find that you'll get a lot more completed simply because you wrote it down.
And I'm glad you brought up checklist. One of my other guests, Kim Campbell, a fighter jet pilot, and I were also talking about checklist. So important. What is one small thing a kid could practice this week that would help them later?
Well, there's a lot of different things.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest thing is to keep the promises you make to yourself. You can lie to so many different people and they won't even know. But when you lie to yourself, it's worse because that lie, even though it doesn't hurt anybody, nobody knows you made it, it affects your confidence. You stop believing what you say you're going to do, and it cascades into everything that you start doing in life. What you do, how you do one thing is how you do everything. So first and foremost, don't lie to yourself. Be honest to yourself, especially. Keep your promises, whatever it's going to be. It's January, so there's so many of you that have New Year's resolutions. If you said you were going to go to the gym every day, do it. Even if you show up for 3 minutes, do one exercise and walk out the door, you do it every single day. You hold your promises to yourselves, and I can promise you that your confidence level will skyrocket and you'll see it cascade all the different things you do in your life. Because when you say you're going to do something, you actually do it.
Thank you for being on the show with us, Hernan. Everyone, go check out his show on YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, Facebook. It's at Business Bros, BROS pod.
That's right.
You'll see the links below, so you'll be able to click through there. And thanks for watching Books That Build Skills. If today's story sparked an idea, gave you courage, or helped you see what's possible, then it did its job. And remember, skills are not born, they're built. One choice, one challenge, one brave step at a time. So hit subscribe, share this with someone who needs it, and keep exploring and building and reading and dreaming big. I'm Loxley Brown. This is Books That Build Skills, and you're just getting started.